You know that feeling? Like you're just operating on a totally different wavelength than everyone else around you? Well, today, we're going to get into the psychological blueprint that explains why that feeling might actually be your hidden superpower. Seriously, think about it. You walk into a room and bam, you just feel it. That little bit of tension, or maybe that unspoken excitement, it's almost like a sixth sense, right? You're the one who picks up on the tiny hesitation in someone's voice, or that flicker of an expression that just sails over everyone else's head. And no, it is not just your imagination.
So for years, maybe you've been told you're too sensitive or that you overthink everything. But what if those labels are just completely missing the point? We're about to flip the script on those exact traits and look at them not as flaws, but as some seriously highly developed psychological skills.
So let's start with that first one, that uncanny ability to read a room. Psychology has a name for it, and it's not being paranoid. It's called social vigilance. Okay, and this is really the key. It's not about being too sensitive. It's about active observation. See, you're not just kind of passively standing there in a space. Your brain is actively, constantly gathering and processing social data at a way higher level than the average person. So where does this super awareness even come from? Well, a lot of the time it comes from something called rejection sensitivity. And look, this isn't a weakness. It's actually a pretty sophisticated survival mechanism your brain built to scan for potential trouble and, keep you safe. Do any of these hit close to home? Maybe you had to grow up a little too fast, take on adult worries early. Or maybe you always had that nagging feeling of being the backup friend, never the first choice. When your brain learns that being left out can be subtle, that you can be quietly swapped without any big announcement, well, it gets really, really good at detecting the earliest warning signs. But all of this constant scanning, it definitely comes at a price. Your brain is burning way more energy in social situations simply because you're processing so much more information. This is exactly why you might crave alone time to recharge. It's not because you're antisocial, it's because your cognitive battery is just plain drained. Just let that one sink in for a second. It's such a powerful way to reframe it. Your mind isn't just stuck in some random anxiety loop. It's performing a high-level job, gathering intelligence to protect your own sense of security in a really complex social world. Now, this intense mental processing, it doesn't just show up in social situations. It also completely shapes how you manage your physical space, which brings us right to our second strength. And this one might feel personal for anyone who's ever been nagged to just clean your room. Ever looked at your messy desk and felt a pang of guilt, even though you know your mind is sharp and your digital files are perfectly organized? Yeah, that's not you being lazy. Psychologically, it's actually a sign of mental efficiency. Think about it. Your brain only has so much energy, so it makes a strategic choice. Why waste precious cognitive resources organizing a stack of papers when that exact same energy could be spent solving a really tough problem or connecting some abstract ideas? It's a system of prioritization, not a lack of discipline. The total opposite of this flexible approach is something researchers call cognitive rigidity. That all-or-nothing thinking that insists everything has to be perfectly neat and in its place. Well, high-functioning minds often just reject this because it's wildly inefficient. They embrace a little bit of chaos in the non-essential areas so they can stay flexible and focused where it really, truly matters.
And that leads us perfectly into our third and final strength, which honestly kind of ties everything else together. It's the power of being an authentic outsider.
So, do you ever find yourself feeling kind of indifferent about the big holidays, or the mandatory office birthday party, or the latest trend that everyone is obsessed with? This isn't because you're antisocial. Nope. It's a psychological sign of low social dependency. You just don't need all those external events to feel good about yourself. This all points to this really cool psychological concept called a strong internal locus of evaluation. And all that means, in simple terms, is that your sense of worth and happiness comes from inside you. You rely on your own judgment, on self-validation, not a thumbs up from a crowd or a date on the calendar. When you break it down, this mindset is really about three choices. You choose quality interactions over empty rituals. You'd much rather have one real, deep conversation than go to a dozen forced parties. And ultimately, you choose your own inner peace over the exhausting performance of just trying to meet everyone else's expectations. So, let's put all the pieces together. That social vigilance, the selective chaos, that authenticity, they're not just random quirks. They actually form a single coherent blueprint, the architecture of a really unique and powerful way of being in the world. And this, right here, is the ultimate takeaway.
If you've ever felt like an outsider because you see too much, or you just care about things a little differently, please remember this. It is not a flaw in your design. It's a feature. Your brain is simply wired for deeper thinking and demands a higher standard for connection.
So you see how they all work together, right? Your social vigilance gives you that deep awareness. Your selective chaos drives mental efficiency. And your authentic independence builds this incredible, unshakable security. These are not weaknesses. They are the interconnected pillars of your silent strength. And that's the question I want to leave you with. Your way of seeing the world, it's a rare gift. It gives you a level of clarity that, honestly, most people will never get to experience. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build with it?